Hey there, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jamie, and we're your co-hosts for Two Clicks in a Pod.
Join us as we explore our missed times, stories, and memories due to divorce and a 1,000-mile separation.
I can't wait. You ready to get into it, Kev?
I am. Hey, Jamie, you think you're going to swear?
Oh yeah, consider yourselves warned. We didn't catch up, so in the spirit of catching up real quick, Reese had her musical today.
Right?
And absolutely killed it.
Awesome.
Wait till I send you the videos. I mean, just Dad, that child, as like shy as
We
she
got to
can.
explain the video.
For Reese.
No, for the listeners out there, they don't know what you're talking about.
I will send you a video of Reese performing in the Finding Nemo the musical. Mm-hmm. Reese played the part of Dory, and I will send you the video of her doing her main solo. And I mean, this child is meant to be on a stage. It's just unreal because you know her. Not everyone knows her, but she can be very shy and timid and incredibly empathetic. She's the kindest person I've ever met in my life. And I say that without any bias because I have people telling me all the time, my God, your child is so kind. I got a text message this weekend from another mom. You know, we were in Boston, Reese stayed here, and I got a text message from a mom that I know but not super close to that just said, I just want to tell you how special your daughter is. This woman's son is autistic and was with Reese at a event Friday night, and Reese just included him and was piggybacking him around and just making him feel welcome and, again, included. And she's just like, sends me this text message about how special Reese is. And
I'll be darned.
And I'm like, yeah, I agree. But hearing it from other people. So and then you put her on a stage and she just, I mean, I'm biased. She's my dad. She was absolutely the best person in the entire show. Hands down. Hands down. Like
I hope so. Why not? She is Reese. She's never failed anyone when it comes to speaking in public or getting up and giving a speech on the spur of the moment.
Unbelievable,
she's very
right?
Put together. Yep.
Unbelievable. Just killed it. Absolutely killed it. So I'll share the video so you can see it. Share it with Suzanne. But you would have been so proud of her. So that was awesome.
Yep. Got rid of my president's role and transitioned the new officers in. That was a little strange to travel all the way back, 9 hours to get to do that. But everybody was very grateful, very appreciative of, and got lots of kudos for what we did in the 5 years that I was involved, not as president, but in 2 roles, and just some real gracious moments and thanks. And it was very, very moving and almost to a tear point. But yeah, it was very, very good. Got to see everybody. Saw Tony and Kim a bunch. Obviously, Dan and Lisa. Went to dinner with friends Saturday night at the Chop House, and that was a lot of fun. So
nice. All right. So when we left off, we spent a lot of time talking about grade school, starting Catholic school, the importance of Catholicism in your everyday life, your schooling, your weekends, all of that. And then talking about Grandpa. So interesting to learn that went back to college after being married. Never knew that. Getting a job in the industrial engineering and starting the job there. So how does he get from Mishawaka to Williamsburg, Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, he took a job, as I mentioned, with what was Ball Band. Prior to that, it was U.S. Rubber and
right.
Whatever. It was Uniroyal before that, I believe. But anyway, he made a shift to a group called Bendix which was a company that actually worked with the government, worked within the technology division of a missile program, developing what's known as a missile that shoots from a ship to shore. So they're fired off the battleships or whatever, and it's a ship-to-shore missile, of which there's many, many. There's a Harpoon, there's a Sidewinder, there's all kinds of things. But Dad got a job with Bendix, and is
that because of the military base there out of Norfolk? Was that a part of why that was there?
Bendix was in Mishawaka, so he was actually once he took that job, they decided to set up a unit at the Naval Weapons Station in Yorktown. And the whole purpose of that was, instead of actually taking those missiles and shipping them to Bendix, to Mishawaka, they were going to set up the facility that would actually rebuild them. They were duds or seconds or things that didn't fire. So they'd bring them back off the ship and put them in and reassemble them, and put them back together at the Naval Weapons Station. So that was there to implement a force, save the transportation cost, and just do it right there at the weapons station, which that's where the ships would come into port at Yorktown. Right. They'd unload them and reload them. And Dad got to be in charge and run that entire division there at some point later. But he took the job, and in taking the job, it was a go now. We stayed through the last year of school, the last, 9 months of school, and Dad was already in Williamsburg doing the job and would come home occasionally, as he could. Mom would go out to Williamsburg when they knew that it was time to look for a house and do that kind of thing. But that's what made the move.
He just lived in he just had an apartment
It was a guest room. It was like kind of just renting a room from a boarding house. Okay. So it was just a room.
He and Grandma went and looked at houses when they could.
In the springtime.
House.
Yep.
So was the original house the Braddock house?
No, it was a rental house on the other side of town in York County. Braddock's in James City County. But it was a 2-story home on the over there by Busch Gardens, kind of, which is on the east side, headed down towards Newport News and Hampton. Yeah. Rented that house. We were there for a year.
Okay.
Yep. There for 7th grade.
And that was always intended to be a short-term thing. Like, we'll be here while we keep looking, and then we'll move into our house. Yep.
So we probably about mid-year, they found the Braddock home that was under construction.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it was a new build.
Finished. Yep, new build. And that was exciting. Yeah. And we made some good friends there in the first rental house. Our neighbors across the street actually went to Walsingham Academy as well. So that was the Berger family. Billy Berger was Cindy's age, and he and I kind of palled around a bunch. But then he had a Terrence. His younger brother was named Terrence. He had an older sister who was pretty hot.
Hot.
She was driving, we were 13 and she was driving, but she drove us to school in the mornings.
What was her name? You don't know her name?
I don't remember her name. No, but she had a freaking Mustang. Ooh. That would, I think it was blue it was a convertible, had a white top on it.
Did they have money?
He was in service, or he worked at Yorktown as well. Didn't work with Dad, but he seemed to have a fairly successful job.
I mean,
but she was going to high school elsewhere. Yeah, it is.
That's a hot car.
16-year-old girl. Yep.
And
I'm sure it wasn't hers. It was probably her dad's.
Oh,
but she took us to school. She was driving it in the morning. So, yep. Cindy and I went to Walsingham. Leslie and Teresa were going to the public school down the street, the elementary down the street.
Didn't make the cut.
It was we couldn't afford it. You had
Oh,
to pay for education. So it was, that was one thing about Walsingham. Again, you had to take an entrance exam. It was pretty elite. Everybody in that school was either military or well-to-do families in Williamsburg and Newport News. They would come from Hampton, Newport News. They would travel 30 minutes
for
to
that
get
school.
there, which is nothing today, but it's pretty
But
big
it was a
travel.
legit private school. It wasn't a Catholic school.
It was a private school run by the Catholic Church.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the nuns were there. They were
Okay.
They were an order out of Philadelphia, Sisters of Mercy. But it was associated. St. Bede's Church is the one that actually started it. And the first few years, it was actually, the school was held in the rectory, which was a huge 2-story colonial structure. It was a house, I guess, but that's back in the day when the total population of the school was probably 35.
And the school's still open today.
It's open today. You get online. It looks the same. They've kept it up very well. They have donations just like a college, like your college has donations each and every year with fundraisers, but very cool school.
And I believe some of the aunts have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
Yep. Cindy's on the basketball wall of shame, and
Hall of
so
Fame.
is Leslie. Hall of Fame.
Not for basketball.
It's the Wall of Fame. It's the Wall of Fame.
Both basketball, or I thought Leslie's was something
Cindy
else.
made it for basketball. Leslie made it for field hockey, as did Teresa.
So all McClinics, except for you, have made the Wall of Fame.
I made bigger contributions.
Oh, Dad.
I actually was a good student.
You would say I'm in the academic Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Well,
I did letter in soccer for 2 years, so I was okay.
I love you. I'm just picking on you, but interesting that the 3 girls did. But
well,
good for them. That's good for them.
That's what kept me out of Notre Dame too, was girls. I mean, that was the first year that they accepted girls in the enrolling class, so my odds were cut in half. So it was either Purdue or Virginia Tech, and I didn't get my want and desire to go back to South Bend. But jumping ahead of the stories.
So curious, making a move at that point in your life. So you were going into the 7th grade, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a hard time to move. 7th grade, let me backtrack. Lisa's 11, starting 6th grade as 11. She'll be 12 going into 7th grade. So you're 12 going on 13, moving.
I moved I turned 13 after the move. Yep.
Right. So, I mean, that's a challenging time. It's true adolescent. Were you nervous? Were you excited? Were you pissed off? Like, I don't want to go?
Well, no, I had a conversation with Mom about this just to make sure that my memories were squared away, and they were. I don't remember I remember being excited, and of course, we were leaving a lot of good friends behind. Everybody was excited, I think, because it was just somewhere we were old enough to know what a move was, which was not fearful. I was a little bit upset in the fact that, I had just made all-stars on my little league team after trying for, 3 and 4 years through that process.
For baseball,
and had a love of baseball, and just, I played the outfield for the first few years, never could make it into the infield. And then my coach just said, we're going to put you behind the plate. And that's what I was just so excited to put that freaking catcher uniform on. I loved it. And that caused me to just really work hard and excel. And, at the end of the 2 years there, just was able to make all-star, 1 and 2, and just thrilled to death with that. So I figured I'd go to Virginia and play, and, it'd be a new start. And that was tough leaving friends. Not really hard to make new friends, but none of the friends I had were really my age. They were a little bit younger. kind of 2 years younger. There was a cute girl in the neighborhood, so I really liked her. So she was
in Indiana.
In the new place.
So you were excited about the cute girl, not the girl driving, so, yeah. not the Mustang chick.
She kept me entertained on the way into school. Billy Berger kept me entertained on the way into school. But yes, this other girl that lived 2 doors over, and her dad was a pharmacist, and she was a cute girl.
Do you remember her name?
Nope. I would. It probably, by the end of the show, I might come back to it, but we never did anything.
Let me just well,
like
you never made out.
Else.
You didn't make
never
out.
Made out. No.
Never made out.
I did have my first kiss in Mishawaka, though.
Tongue or no tongue?
Well, we were 5 or 6. I was pretty young.
Well. How great would it?
She just got me in the backyard in a tent and decided to plant a kiss on me, and I said, "Oh my goodness!" I mean,
I love it. How great!
Mom even remembers that. I came bragging home that I got my first kiss.
It would have been amazing.
Her name was Karen.
Well, of course, you always remember your first kiss.
Of course.
It would have been amazing if you had said tongue, and I was 6. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I think I was a little older than that. It was probably 7 or 8, but I'll never forget her saying, playing in the backyard. She said, come see me in the tent. And then she just planted a big old kiss on me.
She was fast. She was forward.
Yes, she was. She was cute.
It would be great to know where she is today.
Yeah, her mom was Hawaiian. Her dad was not. But she was really a good looking girl at that age.
So you move. I have to tell you, I am highly impressed that at 12 years old, being told we're moving, that you were like, I'm going to be excited about this. I'm going to have this, silver linings of new start, new place. Like, I think that's really impressive, because most people, I mean, if I were to tell Reese today we were moving to Texas, it would be a fucking disaster. I mean, they don't want to move. I was joking. There's a house being built at the end of the street. Wait till you see it. I told you about this. They tore the top level off, built up, just going on the market tomorrow. And we were joking, and we said, we're just going to buy that house and move literally 6 doors down. And the kids were like, we can't move there. And I'm like, why? We're on the same street. Same neighbors. And Parker's like, I'll have to go to a different elementary school. And I'm like, who cares? You don't even have any friends at your school. And he's like, I am not moving. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, we're talking about, they don't want to move down the road. And you moved from Indiana to Virginia with a open mind and a positive attitude. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. And part of it with me leaving, and I don't know, we didn't get to this on the first episode or the second episode, but I had just learned how to rewrite from writing with my left hand to my right hand. So I was glad to kind of leave that behind.
Well, explain that.
And have a fresh start. You
got to explain that. This is a story we're sharing.
Okay.
Why? Why did you have to do that? We skipped over that. And I do remember you telling me as a fellow lefty. So let's share that. You were left-handed. I am left-handed. However, I do everything except for writing with my right hand. And you are not that way.
No, I was kind of a little crossover there, and was having some real issues in school, just at that time frame with comprehension in those reading and answering the question exercises, to where you read a paragraph and then you have the multiple choice questions.
And they equated that to your handwriting.
The issue.
But they equated that to you being left-handed?
No. They created that. The whole issue was just in the confusion of trying to figure out what was predominant at that point in time. there was studies ongoing that, ambidextrous people, did not develop the left side or the right side of brain fully. And to whatever belief at that point in time, they thought that that was an issue or a handicap that would not allow you to be able to focus or keep your attention span. And at that, maybe I was a little bit ADHD. I mean, that was not even talked about or known about, or even 4 letters that went together at that time. So,
well, you say that now. You say that now, though, because we live in a world where every little boy that can't sit still or can't, or that, I mean, you've said this about Park, that everybody likes to say, oh, they must have ADHD, which I have a huge issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. I think certain little boys, they're active.
Well, yeah, we don't need to get into that conversation right now, but that's a good point. But we go back to the whole religious upbringing. You learned how to sit your ass in a freaking pew for an hour.
100%.
Very, very quickly, as a second grader, as a third grader, whether your mom and dad were there or whether you were not. And I mean, you've never been to a Catholic school, and as we get into the story of this and that, but those nuns hold they can command the law, and they hold it pretty well. So it's I think that's just discipline. You can either have discipline or no discipline, is my belief. And
agree.
So
I guess the point.
But anyway, it was a loss of focus. It's why I had to.
Origin,
they felt better.
At the origin, you were left-handed, and they told you need to learn to write with your right hand.
I got A's in penmanship the whole time. I mean, I had great left hand, cursive writing. I didn't backhand it like a lot of kids do, so
I don't backhand.
But yeah,
I
mean,
why did they say you need to learn to write with your right hand? Was that because of the comprehension?
Yes, because of the comprehension, and because everything else was right-handed. With the exception, anything that I do with picking up something was left-handed. Eating with a spoon, brushing my teeth, obviously writing, drawing was left-handed. And as you know, and to this day, every time I draw, I'll switch hands and put it in my left hand. And I can write left-handed, I can write right-handed. But the thought is by getting everything on one side of the brain, that concentration level would come forward.
Okay.
But sighting a rifle, sighting a telescope, looking into anything was always predominantly, supposedly, as I was told, right-handed. And they put it down and traced it to my inability to crawl properly. So I was crawling like a horse runs, right foot forward on the front and the back. So a horse moves both sides, both legs on the right, both legs on the left when he's running.
So you were like this, instead of like this.
So my knee was coming up with my arm. So not only did I have to change from writing with my left hand to my right hand, I had to come home and crawl for 45 minutes to get my crawling to where I could cross
Shut
crawl.
up.
And no, I'm serious. I would have to come home. This was so frustrating.
Wait, time out. How old were you?
I was in 6th grade. I was 12 years old.
Shut up. And you had to relearn how to crawl?
That's what I was told to do. And you know me, if I was told to sit down, I sat down. And if I was told to crawl, anything to quit flunking these daggone comprehension tests.
Maybe you just weren't good at comprehension.
Maybe.
Let me tell you something right now. It's 100% what it was, because I am not good at reading comprehension. Reese is not good at reading comprehension.
Comes in the family.
Is my point. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're left-handed. And this is what's so asinine about, just old ways of thinking, that people honestly thought, well, this guy can't comprehend because he writes with his left hand.
Well, yeah, it's pretty stupid when you think about it.
It's
but
super
it was pretty
stupid.
It was pretty painful being on my knees. But mom felt sorry for me. She, those little.
Who wouldn't feel sorry for you? It's terrible.
We were always making those little square pot holders, with those little cross knit things where you'd put them together. Mom put elastic around 2 of them and made my first knee guards.
Oh my
and then
God.
off I'd go. I'd crawl from one end of the hall to the other for I don't know how long it was.
You're kidding me.
Probably 20 minutes. And Mom wants to know why I have hard feelings towards her.
I am dying. And you were 11 years old doing this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yep.
Holy. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So that's my crawling story. Anyway. And then finally I was able to start over in 7th grade in Williamsburg and fresh on my right hand. And nobody knew if I had good writing or not at that time.
Okay, so today, if you pick up a pencil, are you going to write with your left hand or your right hand?
I'll write with my right hand.
Even today?
I'll draw with my left hand. Yep.
Oh, so if you're going to sketch left, if you write right.
Yep.
Well, just so you know, I cannot write right-handed. I mean, I can't even pick it.
You can practice that. I'll send you the knee pads.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
But I do a lot of things. I do a lot of things where I can I can trade off, especially with my tools. I can use any hand tool with my left or my right hand, depending upon what's most advantageous. Oh Lordy! All right, there we are.
I just wish I could go back in time.
I wish I had a movie of that.
I want to watch you. I want to watch you crawl across.
Oh Lordy, I'd crawl across the floor a bunch with you on my back when you were younger, and I'd practice my crawling.
All right. Okay, so my God, Dad, that's terrible. That's absolutely.
It was terrible.
That's terrible. Okay, so all right, so
little things have always been big for us.
Well, that's big. That's big. All right, so I don't even know how to come back from that. All right, so you move. You get to write with your right hand.
Yep.
Without the prejudice of who you were prior to that. No more crawling. And tell me this. How did baseball go?
Well, baseball didn't go.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. Well, we got there at the beginning of the summer, so I was a little bit late, in trying to get on a team, which Dad was pretty good about, at least helping me figure out whether or not that was a possibility. We were just a few blocks away from a field where they were going to be playing, which was right there at that elementary school where the 2 younger girls were going to go to school. But that was kind of a humiliating thing. I honestly just kind of bailed on it because, I made the all-star team and I just didn't, and we had tryouts back home. It wasn't like we didn't have tryouts, but at that point in time, I didn't think I'd have to go out and try out for a team. But that was the deal.
Well, and you were at that age where it starts becoming that. It becomes more competitive.
More competitive for sure.
Right.
More competitive for sure. Yeah.
And you come in, as I'm learning, it's all political. So you're coming in, nobody knows you.
Nope.
So they
don't know anybody.
Those people that coach who are often parents, they know what kids they already want. They already have it picked out. So here comes a new guy, and maybe you were nervous and you didn't do well, and it's like,
well, I didn't even go. I mean, I just finally I went to a couple practices, and I could just kind of see the law of the land, and as I mentioned about getting put in the catcher position at that past, that coach, he lived a few blocks up the street from me, and he really was the one that was instrumental in pulling out an ability in something that, for me, into something I didn't think I ever had. But he did a great job with that. And it was the same way, after him spending time with me, he wanted me on his team every year, no matter where it would go. Mm-hmm. So I felt probably a little bit favored, and I didn't think I was ever going to gain that again. Fast forward, same story, same principle in high school playing soccer. We'll get to that maybe moving down. But I just didn't even bother going. I just told Dad, I said, and Dad wasn't really supportive. It was kind of two different dads, and at home in Mishawaka, he just had a lot more free time to where we'd be throwing ball out in the front yard all the time, or he took an active interest in getting me there. And then in Williamsburg in Virginia, that kind of became Mom's principal role.
Just because he was so busy with work, or?
Yeah, he was busy with work. He was having to travel still a bunch back and forth from there to Richardson, Texas, where Texas Instruments was located, just because
really?
They did all the technology and the instrumentation for what actually went in the missile, the guidance systems. So he was gone a lot, and so it really kind of became Mom driving us into other things, and that was almost immediately in the fall after starting school. She had run down or found out that 13-year-olds and even 12 and 11 to 13 could join the junior corps of the Williamsburg Fife and Drum Corps. So that's where my focus went, was to actually join.
That's when you went into drumming.
Right. Went into drumming and learned how to play, instruction on Tuesdays and Thursdays for, and then Saturday mornings. So you learn how to play an instrument. There were two choices, the fife or the drum. So, through that, got to meet a lot of people. Again, discipline.
And you obviously went drums.
Yep. Went to the drums and just really, really enjoyed that and did well at it. So and got me into friends that were in all the schools, not just my school.
Walsingham,
they were, from around. But one of my best friends and one of my instructors was of an equal, and actually had drummed at a very young age, was Tom Jenkins, who was one of my best friends in high school. So Tom kind of took to me, and after he would just kind of push me after learning from the teacher, and it was the best experience, good experience. The only people that I know of in school at that age that were in the fife and drum corps, and there were others, but they were older than I was, but it was Tom and I. We were we were seventh graders, and he had been in the corps, I think, at an earlier age, but because his drumming skills were better. Yeah.
So you do
and the
that.
Cool thing.
Did you do that all through high school?
You got paid for it.
Oh.
Did it through 10th grade. Started playing soccer in 10th grade and kind of got out of it.
You said you got paid for it. Were you guys drumming there in Colonial Williamsburg? Oh, yeah.
So you would drum, like I said, practice Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
And Saturday mornings.
Okay.
And then in the summertime, on Tuesday evening, they would have a militia program where they would actually reenact a militia on the actual field. And the Fife and Drum Corps would lead the militia in kind of a tourist, ensemble of what it was, the load a musket, fire a musket, load a cannon, fire a cannon, and play, music of 1776.
You've mentioned soccer. So how do you start playing soccer? Did you play soccer in Indiana?
Nope, never did.
So how did you start playing soccer at that late of an age then?
Well, football was big in Indiana, so I was always kicking a football, and played a lot of football, and the only option I had to play in high school was soccer. So I just decided to start playing that in 9th grade. I ran cross country a little bit just to try out, and realized I didn't like running, so I didn't want to do that. But there's as much running on a soccer field as there would have been on cross country.
Yeah.
So soccer came along, and just again worked at it for 9th grade, 10th grade, and then by 11th grade I was starting as a center forward, and did that both 11th and 12th grade, and went to the state championships both years, and didn't bring them home, but we made it there. So
well, you made it there.
yep,
That's awesome.
Yep.
And you started.
And made a lot of good friends and started. Yep.
There you go. So it filled the void of the baseball thing.
It did. It did. And it again, it took a little bit of time, as I said, getting through 7th grade, getting through 8th grade. We got into the clique story, and everybody was.
But you had friends. Like you had friends. Like you said, you felt like, it didn't click with the girls, but like, were you happy or were you sad?
No, I was happy. I really, I enjoyed going to school. I worked hard at school. The whole classroom experience was kind of tough for me. We mentioned about just, I think, some of the issues I was having with comprehension. My homework from 7th grade through 12th grade was just very, very difficult. I really didn't have a whole lot of free time, and that's why I stayed out of sports, up until the 9th grade. 7th grade, it was all I could do to get through school, come home. I mean, many a night I might take 30 minutes and then get up in my room, and I had to read. I had history, Virginia history each and every day with quizzes the next day. And that was very difficult for me. Again, reading and comprehending and taking it with me. I struggled through that. I had to work really hard, I was surprised I made it into this school within the entrance exam. I really was. The first time trying to approach Dad and say, Dad, I need some math help. And Dad was good about that. He would help you, but his patience were always so short. And, and because of that, I mean, my patience today is short, but
I have no patience.
He would, he would just sit there and try to explain and struggle with me trying to comprehend what he was explaining. But through many, many sessions and all out just tears and frustration, and him watching me and saying, well, if you're going to cry about it, you're just going to have to go upstairs. I knew it hurt his heart, but Dad was not an easy sell on anything with that. But yeah, it was tough. But if it wasn't for my father, what was difficult eventually became easy.
All right. So school was hard. Friends were there. What about girls?
Girls. There was a girl a year younger than me that I was just enthralled with and had a big crush on. And I guess we can mention names, but that was...
What was her name?
Her name was Melissa. Melissa Welter. And this is a name that we need to tag right here, right now, because that story continues at Tech in my sophomore year.
Melissa
but anyway,
Welter.
I just really thought this girl was cute, and I went back and looked in my yearbook, and she was just as cute then as I thought she was. But anyway, she was a year below me, and then Cindy had her younger sister in her class, which was 2 years below her, Jenny Welter. So your mom got to meet Jenny Welter, actually, because she was going to Tech as well, 2 years after I enrolled, and 1 year after your mom had enrolled. But anyway, I really wanted to have the nerve to ask this girl out
on a date. And I kept what would a date have been then?
Going to a school dance.
Okay.
We had a school dance coming up. Yep, take her to the dance.
Okay.
Had a dance coming up, so I approached my dad. I said, Dad, I kind of felt him out about this, and he knew I was troubled, and I said, I'm really wanting to ask this girl out to a dance. Of course, Dad says, well, ask her. And I said, well, that's not as easy for me as I would, and it might have been as I was a sophomore, because I probably would have asked her as a junior. Anyway, I just put it off and practiced the call.
Oh God, I love it.
would walk to the phone, pick it up, and I said, "Oh man, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it."
And you would never have asked her in person? Like, no way.
I didn't. I really didn't. I knew who she was. I didn't know if she knew who I was. I'm sure she did. I mean, her dad actually converted to be a Catholic. And I don't know what the cause of that was, but they were going to a Catholic school anyway. He converted, the whole family converted. And so I would see them in church. She had not always gone to church, but she did later in her school, probably at around that same time. So not only did I get to see her at school, I got to see her in church, but I never really approached her. I just always felt like I wasn't quality or good enough to actually fit in. I just wasn't as cool as the guys that ran around with all the girls in school. I just held back. So I finally went back down to Dad and I said, "Dad, I just can't do it. I cannot call her up." And he said, "If you don't go call her right here and right now, I'm going to."
Oh, God.
So that put the fear of Dad on me. And I went upstairs and I called her. I made the call. And of course, I'm sure I hemmed and hawed and stammered through that. But I said, "Melissa," I said, "this is Kevin McClintock. And I know we got a dance coming up. And I just wanted to know if you'd be interested in going."
Oh, God love you.
And she didn't say no.
Uh-huh.
She said, "Well, I've already been asked."
Okay. All right.
And I said, "Really? By who?" And she goes, "Kevin Bounds." And I said, "Oh, good grief. Kevin Bounds." He was in her class. He was a big jock in the school, good at everything. His mom was my English teacher. And I said, "Oh, good grief." And I said, "Okay." I tucked my tail between my legs.
But she was nice.
She was nice. She was nice. Or at least I thought she was nice. Yes. So, yeah.
And you did it.
I did it.
Did you go to that dance?
No.
Oh.
No. I wouldn't have been able to stomach that. But anyway.
But you could have asked somebody else.
I could have.
There just wasn't anyone else you wanted to ask.
No, I don't. Well, yeah, there was nobody that was. Yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah.
real. Somebody caught my attention. I mean, I was all over, just holding attention onto that. I can remember Cindy having for some reason, some girl from Lynchburg was coming into town, and this was before this, and stayed a couple nights at the house. A friend of Cindy's, I'm not sure how that connection was, but got to meet her, and I don't know how and why, but she stayed the whole weekend, and we just all kind of palled around together. Her name was Julie. And you remember that song by, was it Bobby Sherman that sang "Julie, Julie, Julie, do you love me"? You won't remember that. You're gonna have to look that up. "Julie, Julie, Julie, do you love me? Julie, 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 do you care?" Yeah, Bobby Sherman, I think it was. That girl left, and I sang that song night and day.
You loved her.
Well, I didn't love her, but I mean, I actually wrote her a letter.
I liked her.
I wrote her a letter. I don't think she ever wrote me back, but I did write her a letter.
Don't you just miss that feeling of that infatuation you would get with a person at that age? Like,
I like that feeling. I've liked that feeling for maybe a lot of times. Yeah.
Forever, right?
Yeah. It's forever. Yeah. It's just never goes away when you find somebody just totally interesting like that.
Yeah. And
or that you have a feeling for.
Yeah. And like wanting them to have that feeling for you.
Oh yeah.
And when you feel that, right? Like when I feel like we would be the same in this way. This is why it's so hard for me to imagine, high school Kevin McClintock, like not being able to ask the girl that he wanted out, because everyone's just always, from my perspective, in meeting people and through you or introducing people to you, it's always been, "Oh, your dad's so fun. Your dad's so cool. How old's your dad? That's your dad?" I'm like, oh my God. I mean, between you and mom both, it's always just like, "That's your dad. That's your mom. It could be your sister. And I'm like, And to this day, I joke about it. I'm like, well, at what point is that an insult to me? Like, you guys, everyone thinks you're like my siblings. I'm like, well, at what point should I be offended? But so it's hard for me to sit here and think you had those same insecurities. I guess that I did too, because I never saw that, like you're just always larger than life, so social, so fun. Everybody always wanted to be around you, But I guess it's almost like, not like I love hearing that, because I don't love hearing that, but like it feels good to know, okay, so, dad went through that too, and for me, I felt like I got there eventually, but it took me a while to get there, for people to not recognize me. That's not the right word, but just acknowledge me and be like, oh, we want to know her. We want to be around her. And then today, I think, is that why then maybe you feel this way? But is it because of that when I get that acknowledgement from a stranger or from anyone, it's like a drug. It's better than any drug. When someone I get that connection. If I'm sitting at a bar and they just, they see me or they hear me, and then we start talking, and then it's just like, oh, you're so funny, you're so fun, and it's not about the way I look or any of that. It's just that makes me feel that is the best kind of high that I've ever had, when I get that acknowledgement.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. That's the whole thing, like we said, with Click being the nickname. Every time somebody that just showed acceptance, it showed recognition, yeah. It showed something different, which I never, I can't say that, that was, from that standpoint, high school was kind of tough, because I always felt like I was living in the shadows until maybe 11th grade. And then just more and more finally started coming out. But when you mention, I myself find it hard to believe that, I could have been that shy, but I was. Yeah. I just was not out there. And I think a lot of it was because was kind of throttled back because of our upbringing, and because of the always trying to be the best we could be, or be perfect at our studies, perfect in our behavior, and that's kind of a stifling environment for sure. And going and won't get there, but I mean, when that comes off a little bit, it is like a drug. It becomes dangerous. So, yeah, but it's also, and you just mentioned it, and this goes back, if a girl showed any kind of interest at all, regardless of what age I'm at, the older I got, I mean, I was still all in. I've always been all freaking in. Yeah. And I'm in it to win it, regardless of whether it's good, healthy, right, wrong, or bad. Right. And I'm going to fall as hard as I can. Yeah. Just to see nothing. And that has, that's the whole part of this, wanting to do this podcast. As I said, right turns, wrong turns, and stupid turns. And just quickly making a decision that you lock into, and I just have the hardest time of unlocking that. Yes. And then I've learned more so recently in my last 10 years to lock and load and then unload and create all kind of havoc for everybody else. So in high school, with each year advancing, and again, just more recognition, we talked a little bit about this Christian Awakening Weekends, which is a weekend event where you get together initially with a group of guys. You're going off into a weekend of just exploring yourselves and shedding your heart and some of your fears. And you talk about a lot of these insecurities amongst the people that you're in school with, or people
Yeah.
that were even outside of school. So it was a grouping of all schools, Catholic schools, that would come together in a group of, I don't know, 25, 35 guys that just spend the weekend together. And then the girls would be doing it. And then you had kind of a combined effort where you all got to kind of get together for reunions or gatherings and things like that. And we all had these badges that says, God don't make junk, I'm lovable.
I love it.
But I mean, and then, like I said, all in. I mean, I went to that first one and I came home a renewed person. I'd gained so much confidence, and people liked me, and people told me what they liked about me, and, just what a good person, it just built you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me go back to school and just share that message with everyone and minister to everyone. Not so much minister, preaching the Lord, but just being a good person and wanting to show love and friendship to everybody.
Yeah.
So that was a life-changing moment in that sophomore year that moved on into 11th grade and 12th grade. And then I reached out to more girls and could, express that desire, and yet got close confidence to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like I said, never really had a dating relationship, but would go out once or twice or to a movie. It was very innocent fun, I mean, it just, I don't know. I just didn't feel
no serious girlfriend through high school. No, you would never say
people that I would hang out with,
but no first love, like your first, and meaning at that time you thought it was your first love, but you didn't have that in high school.
Well, my first hope for love was a girl named Kitty Clark. I admired that girl, and I would hang out with her every moment I could. And we would study together in the evenings and talk and talk and talk. And again, that's why we're on this podcast, because obviously I like to talk. But we would just we really became close friends. And I always wanted to have a kind of a girlfriend, boyfriend. And we did go to a dance occasionally, but nothing ever real romantic ever laid down. You know what I mean? There wasn't any hard kissing or anything like that, a smooch here or there, but nothing really physical.
But did you want to?
Oh yeah, I did. I just don't know that she really
did.
That she really did. And yet I say that, she came to visit me a few times in my freshman year at Tech. She was going to small school in North Carolina, and she'd come spend the weekend with some friends, and we'd go to the concert or go out and run around downtown, but nothing. She just always was just kind of very standoffish. She never really showed a, romantic interest. And
but she liked you.
She liked me. Yeah.
As a person.
We were just good friends.
Yeah.
Now the girl, then some random girl that I meet, my senior year and kind of get close. I was really close friends with a lot of junior girls that I knew they liked me. I knew they were interested in me, but I just really wasn't all that interested in them. There was interested to them as a friend and having a good time, but I just didn't see any real, I want to romance, I want to dance type of, scenario there. But we hung out all the time. One girl, on the other hand, who I did take her to the prom. I mean, that girl was all over me. I mean, she was sending all the right messages, but I still just wasn't ready to play. And we had a good time, but man, she was just, you would have never guessed that this chick was just as forward as she was. She was incognito for sure. She was hiding it loud and clear, but boy, it came out loud and clear that night. So,
all right. So direct question. When you graduated from high school, were you still a virgin?
Yes.
Okay.
No doubt about that.
Even though what's her face could have had something to do with that, but you weren't feeling that.
What do you mean? What's her face?
The forward girl.
No, yeah, I think if I'd have said anything about that, I think she was ready to tumble. But
I love it.
I mean, Susan Cody, she was a firecracker for sure.
Well, all right. So let's wrap this because this has been a lot.
Yep.
You know what I take away from today? This realization of always knowing how much alike we were, but these very specific and again things you would just never talk. We would never have talked about, and hearing how similar and just the way you felt and how that relates to how I felt at times. It's very interesting to me. Just yet again, just the similarities, and it makes me feel, I don't know, like there's a like it I do feel better almost, like okay, because some of these things, I used to equate to, well, daddy issues. I felt that way because I had dad issues, and now I'm like, well, no, I mean, Kevo had these things just because Kevo had those things too. The want to be accepted, the want to be recognized, the want to just be acknowledged,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I feel sad to hear that because, I know
And
I've
maybe that
lived
is
that
daddy
for a long time.
issues.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't, you know, I just, I know my story, my sisters, I think they have their stories, but again, it was just hard to get approval. It's not that I know my parents love me dearly. My dad, you know, didn't say that a whole lot of times, but I knew it's sad that I had to learn from others how much he cared for me without him telling how much he cared for me.
Like Chris will say things about, raising a daughter, and he'll joke like, "Oh, what do I have to do to make sure she's not pregnant at 17?" And I'm like, "Just love her and talk to her and be a present person in her life, because I can't stress you how important it is for a daughter to feel that from a father in order to not go seek it somewhere else."
Mm-hmm.
And I had a wonderful stepfather that I love dearly. But I think, there was always this knowing of my father not being there and not having a relationship. I mean, and we'll get into that not tonight, but that's what's been so interesting about today, hearing you talk about how you felt and how it was for you, and feeling like I understand that because I felt that way a lot of times. And it's almost like kind of this relief, like, well, maybe it wasn't not having you that caused those feelings, but just who I am. And to your point, having to get there on my own, to sit here at 43 and feel like a very confident person.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, no doubt. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth in that,
Yeah.
My takeaway from today is just number one, the amount of similarities that we have growing up in the same era of our educational careers, for sure.
Yeah.
Which does grant you permission to, kind of be that second click of the two clicks in a pod.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. So there you go.
I'm excited to be a click.
Yep. Okay. Well, what are we going to talk about next? What's the next chapter?
Next week, let's go to, we said we were going to do Kevin Goes to College.
Perfect.
Kevin goes.
Need to get off this Kevin topic.
Yeah, we're gonna get past you real soon. I've had enough of you, people.
I'm sure. Thank you.
All right, Dad. I love you.
All right, honey. Have a good night. Oilers are up 4-2.
Ah! Don't worry, they can still lose it. What's the period? Second period, first period? First.
End of second.
End of the second.
End of second period. Yep. What's the what game is this? Is this game 4? It is.
Let me tell you something right now. If the Oilers don't win, we're done. No. It's 2-1 in the series. The Stars are up by 2-1. Parker was wrong.
That.
Parker said
I was thinking this was game 5.
Parker thought that the Stars were up 3-1 in the series. I was like, I don't think so.
That's what I thought also. That's why I'm thinking I was looking at something that's
well, you guys are
tape
wrong.
Delayed here.
No.
So they're playing in Ontario.
First of all, it's Edmonton.
I'm sorry.
Good God.
I was thinking this was game 5.
This is game 4. So Parker was definitely wrong.
Yeah, I thought we were back in Dallas tonight.
So
I guess they had a little bit longer of a delay.
If the Oilers win.
Now wait a minute.
Yes, here's the deal.
Didn't the Stars win 5-2 the last game?
Monday night
they won
5-2.
And then they won the second game in overtime, did they?
And
second game in overtime.
They lost the first game in double overtime.
Then they won the second one in overtime.
And the third.
And the third one was 5-2.
And now we're playing for 4.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I thought we had 3-1 up on them too, like Parker was thinking.
Here's the deal, though. It's like, McDavid's got to get a cup. You got to. I mean, I know you're a Dallas fan, but like, we got to get McDavid a cup. He's so good.
Yeah, I know, but
I got the Connor McDavid is he is sponsored by Alo. Are you seeing my new shoes?
Mm-hmm.
This is what Mom got me for my birthday. She was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "I want these shoes." And
are those new shoes?
Yeah, McDavid wears these shoes.
Yep.
So Parker was telling everybody in the locker room tonight that his mom had the same shoes that Connor McDavid wears.
I think they scored 2 within 51 seconds is what happened there.
Well, the Stars could still come back, as they have many a time, so.
Yep. And
yes, sir.
We have a chance on away ice. Yep. We were down. Yep. Okay. Well, another episode of 2 Clicks in a Pod.
Peace out, Click.
Episode 3. Alrighty, hon. Love you.
I love you, Dad. Thank you for tuning in today. With so many podcasts out there, we are grateful you chose to spend your time with us.
And we'd love to hear from you. So send us your questions, comments, and feedback to info@twoclicksinapod.com, and we might feature your message in a future episode.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social and head over to our YouTube channel where you can watch the full episode live and in living color. You can find us at 2 Clicks in a Pod. That's 2, as in the number, clicks in a pod.
Well, James, until next time, love you.
Love you too, Daddy.